If you've been experiencing Micro-Stutter and Apex Legends here in Season 10, or even if it started a few months ago, just know that you're not alone. I've been lagging in my games and experiencing Micro-Stutter for a long time now, and I was determined to find out a solution to this problem. So I did a little bit of digging and compiled a list of 10 fixes and tips to fix your Apex lag stutter, so your games can go from this to this. Let's get started. Welcome back, Legends. Today we're going over Micro-Stutter. Let's go ahead and get into it. Number one, run your system in full screen mode if you can. I understand some of us, we're streamers, we're YouTubers, we're content creators, so we'd like to be able to multitask without having the screen black out when we go to different monitors, but it really uses a lot more resources than it needs to when we do that. So if you can, run it in full screen mode. So what you're going to do there, there's actually a way to do it in the launcher with Steam. I don't use Origin. You can go to Steam, then you can come over here to your Apex Legends, right click, then you go to properties. From properties, you can go to the launch options and full screen. This is the command for it. It's tac or hyphen full screen. You paste that in there into the launch options and it'll be full screen mode. Of course, you can also go into the gameplay and go into your settings menu within Apex Legends, and then just go from window to full screen, and that's going to automatically save you a ton of resources. Okay, with full screen mode out the way, you can close out of Apex. The second thing you want to do is run Apex as administrator. Okay, so one easy way you can do that is go back to Steam, hover over Apex Legends, right click it, go to manage, and then go to browse local files. Once you click on browse local files, Apex Legends will come up. Let me bring that over so you can see. And it is this right here, apex.exe. You right click it, go to properties, and then compatibility. I think I said something like compatibility. From there, you want to make sure this button is checked. This radio button here, run this program as administrator. Make sure it's checked. And while you're at it, make sure that this is unchecked. Disable full screen optimizations. You do not want to do that. There's some guides floating around saying to do that. You don't want to do that. So disable full screen optimization should be unchecked, and then run this program as administrator should be checked. Okay, now that that's done, you can close it. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is either cap our frame rate or uncap our frame rate. To do this, one easy way is going through Steam again. You don't have to. You can go through your actual GPU, like I have NVIDIA. You can go through the control panel. We're not going to be using that method this time. We're going to be using the launch options again. So you go to properties. From properties, it's right here, launch options. So if you want to max out and have your frame rate unlimited, you can do that. That's FPS instead of this here where it says plus FPS underscore max 108. That's where I have mine set. I have it capped at 108. You can do that too if you want, or maybe 100 is your sweet spot for your system. You just have to kind of play around with it. But if you want it unlimited, That's exactly what you type in. Instead of the numbers, it'll be plus FPS underscore max space unlimited. And that's the command there. So you want to put that in there if you want to max out your frame rate and go beyond that 144 frames. But if you want to cap it, then you just put the number in here. So I will stick with 108 and then close it. All right, so step number 4, what we want to do is use a hardwired connection if you can. So if you're on Wi-Fi, that's not going to give you as stable of a connection as if you were on Ethernet. Still going to be good though. So if you can't do it, if the way your home is set up just won't allow it, then don't worry about it too much. But if you can, if possible, you want to use the Ethernet connection. And I found that Ethernet, your Cat 6 cables work better than your Cat 7. And I usually like to get the flat cables. They have a better time of not getting pulled, not getting stretched out, and not getting damaged. So yeah, use your Cat 6 cables. And then if you can, if your home allows it, you can actually run that wired connection through your power line using a power line adapter. And you can see what that looks like here. That's the power line adapter. So it'll basically, instead of having to run a 100-foot long cable, instead you'll go from your modem to your power outlet, and that power outlet will carry that signal to the room that you have your PC set up in, and it'll convert to the other side to Ethernet. Very helpful, very secure. As you can see here, it goes up to 2 gigs. And keeping on the topic of hardware upgrades that you might want to think about is memory. You might need more memory, and that might be what's causing your stutter. I know I had 16 gigs of RAM before. I upgraded to 32, and it's been working really good for me. So check that out. Go on Amazon. It also is dependent on what type of motherboard you have, obviously. So check your motherboard specs first, and then get you some memory. Now, this one really isn't a fix. It's more like a tip to help you isolate what's going on and what's the culprit causing your stuttering. But you want to check your CPU and GPU utilization and temperatures. So for me, I have NVIDIA, so I will come over here, bring up the overlay, and we actually have the performance tuning. And from here, you can see the CPU utilization, the GPU utilization, and also the temperatures for the GPU and CPU. You can look at fan speeds. It just kind of gives you an indication. If any of that stuff is running higher than it should be, then you know that you might have an overheating issue, or maybe one of your fans is out. It just helps you isolate. So yeah, number 6, check those utilizations and temperatures. Next thing that I help you guys out is possibly overclocking your GPU. And I'm not going to get too deep into it because they do have videos to show you how to do it. But to get you started, you would basically go over here to MSI Afterburner, and you would download MSI Afterburner. And once you download it, there's different profiles that makes the GUI look pleasing to your eye. But it's basically just little gauges that you toggle maybe 10% or so to get you just that little bit of overclocking, and maybe that will clear up your stuttering. All right, so number 8 is optimize your game session. So I have a program called Razer Cortex, and what it does is it goes through and shuts down any service that's not focused on gameplay. Any programs, it'll go ahead and shut that down. So I'll show you what I do with Razer Cortex, but you can use any program that's like that. I just click boost now, and boom, you see all the megabytes that I'm saving on RAM there. Number 9. Now this is the most important fix action on this entire list to fix your micro stuttering issues. So Windows came out with a patch months and months ago that somehow broke Windows game mode. So even if you don't use Windows game mode, it's still like messed your system up. And then they came out with another patch that fixed it for some people's computers. Well, my computer was not one of those, and I was still experiencing the micro stutter. Well, they had, in addition, an optional quality of life patch come out that actually fixes that micro stutter for the rest of the folks. So That number is KB5004296. Now you don't have to memorize that if this next step works for you. So you basically would come to your search bar and you would type Windows update, and over here you can just click check for updates. All right, so it'll say updates available, and for yours, I already downloaded it, so it's not going to show, but for yours, it'll say optional quality update available, and you should see the number that I gave you earlier, and that's when you will update. If you don't see it, then you might be behind and need to do some mandatory updates or some required updates first before that optional one with the KB number that I gave you, which was KB5004296, shows up. But let's say if it doesn't show up, okay, that's when we come over to the Microsoft catalog. So I'll bring up a Chrome page here. Go to the Microsoft catalog update site, and you want to put in a KB number that I gave you in the search bar. So KB5004296, just enter, and it just shows you all of them. Now you want to pick the one that is tailored for your actual operating system. So to find that out, you go back to the search bar and you type in my PC, and then you right click on my PC and go to properties. So these properties will show you that in my case, I have a 64-bit operating system, but you'll also need the version number there. Once you have that information, you'll know which one of these that you get. So 64-bit operating system, 21H1, and this is it. You basically click over here to the right and download it, and you will install it from there. And that's if the automated Windows update doesn't work for you. But yes, that's the most important one, step 9. Let's move on to step 10. All right, so step 10, if steps 1 through 9 didn't help you, then that means you need to look outside of your local area network. So you start with your local area network, your router, your modem. If still no dice, then you move on to your internet service provider. So your internet service provider is going to be able to control everything else, that gets that connection outside. So you call them up and say, hey, I'm having some issues with my internet. It's not working right. And they can, fix you right on up. But the only bad thing about that is it might take a long time because they usually don't move too fast for one customer who's having gaming issues, So that's step number 10. Hope this guide was helpful to you. Steps 1 through 9 should really fix your issue, especially that optional patch. Guys, if you haven't downloaded that, go ahead and download it. It'll fix that micro-stuttering for you. But what this is all about is getting everyone as good as they can be. But before you can work on those movement and the aim and all that, you have to have a solid connection. Leave a comment. If you have any questions, if there's something I didn't cover, something you want to know more about, just drop it in the comments and I'll get back to you. That'll be it for this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with a buddy. Also, I'm streaming over in Twitch land. So that's twitch.tv/m_approved. And I'll be streaming there. You guys can catch me. We also have a Discord. I'll drop our Discord link in the comments below. Yeah, guys, I will see you later.